The resilient Jenkins have big problems. The last time we looked at this family of 7, their situation had somehow gotten even worse. From court problems with Drew's baby mamas to their ever-worsening financial situation, the Jenkins are definitely in a rough spot. If you don't know their backstory, I highly recommend you watch my first 2 videos on them, but a quick rundown would be that they are a family of 7 living out of various motels, and after going viral, there would be a laundry list of scandal that followed, from scamming their fans to mistreating their animals, and also for neither of them having a job while living out of a 1-bedroom motel with 5 children. Drew has children with another woman and is required to pay her child support payments that he's not been meeting, so finally he has been forced to get a job or face jail time. And this is where we pick up our story today. Stephanie and Drew's relationship has been rocky at best for the past couple years, but after Drew got a job, Stephanie was a whole nother level of suspicious.
That Drew and I should have handled our shit without getting the f online, and I'm gonna fully admit that started with me. Him and I have been arguing and dealing with some shit pretty intensely for the past month, and I'm not gonna lie, that fucking side chick account.
Stephanie has long suspected that Drew is unfaithful to her, and I 100% believe her. Personally, I think the only reason Drew is still around is because she cuts a social media paycheck, because as he's shown in the past, he has no problems leaving his baby mamas. And Drew's baby mamas have been a massive source of drama within the family. There was the whole child support ordeal, Drew even faking a seizure at one point to get out of a court date, but now that seems to have somewhat been resolved, only for another issue with a different baby mama to arise. The mother of Drew's son, Deshaun, wants full custody of him, and I absolutely cannot blame her. The conditions that the Jenkins are living in are not kid-friendly, to say the least. I've seen butcher's knives just left on the floor around toddlers, and those with a keen eye have noticed multiple different bags of mysterious white powder. This is an absolutely horrible living situation. So one of Drew's baby mamas is taking the proper legal steps to get her child back. And the one who seems the most upset by all of this is Stephanie. Drew makes the occasional comment, but Stephanie is in absolute shambles.
Y'all said it, that's how it went down with his exes, right? Just cold-hearted, out the picture, the kids don't matter. I hate ugly crying online. Have fun with this. All of my ugliness for y'all loving haters.
A, this is not even Stephanie's own child, it's Drew and his baby mamas, and B, the living conditions with his mother seem to be better across the board. I understand that Stephanie probably does have an attachment to Deshaun. From what I've seen, Drew does hardly nothing with the kids, but Stephanie has been so adamant about keeping this boy away from his actual mother, and to try to insert herself into that role, when in my opinion, these are not good living conditions for one child, let alone 5. For those who don't know the Jenkins living situation, let me break it down real quick. They live out of a 1-bedroom motel, but due to some rule or because of a program they're a part of, they have to leave the motel once a week and go to another one, mainly because I think they're not allowed to make it their permanent residence. So their workaround is to pack up all of their stuff and move to another motel every week, usually bouncing back and forth.
And it's wild to me that y'all think me and Drew don't think our kids deserve better than this. We damn well know our kids deserve way better than this, and that's what we're trying to do, is work towards that. Duh. We usually never know until the day we're going to the other motel, what time we're supposed to be there. He usually just comes and tells us, between noon and 3. So today he said just anytime after 2. So Drew's gonna go ahead and head out and do some gig work. I'm gonna get the rest of the place cleaned up and what we need packed to stay over there for a night. I didn't realize it was our 28 days today, so I was gonna do laundry today, but reroute. I'm gonna take all of the towels and anything that might make the laundry smell overnight, put it in the tub, and then do laundry tomorrow. Okay, I don't know why I didn't just talk here, but like I said, I put everything in the bathtub, shower, whatever the frick. Signature Jenkins thing here, plugged up sink. And then I got everything cleaned up. I did a little extra cleaning in this area because, I don't know, I just don't want any freaking bugs or anything overnight. As soon as Drew got back from doing a little bit of gig work, he got the car all packed up. And like I was saying here, we grabbed one bowl, one plate, one of everything for everybody. And then for whatever reason, the people that clean this freaking particular motel always leave piss on the ceiling. So Drew and I are always cleaning up before we even get in these rooms. Y'all, normally I'm not the type to call out people on their laziness, but this has been like the third time that we've come to this motel and there's been piss on the ceiling. Like, what the fuck is that?
It always cracks me up when Steph says Drew is out doing gig work, when most likely he's just looking for a chance to get out of the house. Sorry, the motel room. It really cannot be understated just how filthy their living conditions are. Stephanie will use the tub to wash dishes, the same tub that she uses to wash herself and cloth diapers for her children. I'm not even joking when I say there's a layer of filth to almost every fabric item in the house. There's the infamous and extremely depressing video of her washing one of the children's teddy bears, and the water turns almost black. Well, Stephanie would prove that this wasn't just a one-off thing when she showed us her washing Drew's hat after he had been complaining it was causing his head to itch.
It's been a while since I've done one of my deep clean videos, so let's take my man's hat and deep clean it. First, let me lick off all this sweat. Just playing. First thing I did was, I thought I had some vinegar on hand, but I actually didn't, so I just soaked it in some vinegar. Oh, bitch, you just said you didn't have vinegar. I soaked it with some baking soda and some dish soap. Y'all, check out what the baking soda did when I put it in there. What in the fuck? The baking soda was like, yeah, you're gonna need something a little stronger than I can do, but I added some dish soap because that'll do it, right? Dish soap has never failed me when it comes to trying to degrease something and get all the stains out, so that's what I was using. And you can see this water was immediately changing colors. I let that soak for about an hour just playing. I wish it was about an hour. It was more like 3 hours because that's when I got back to it. Now, if you watch my man's videos and you watch my videos, you know my man wears this hat pretty much every day, all day, so you can expect some buildup. And I do believe this is the first, maybe the second time I'm washing it, but yeah, it hasn't been that many times. I feel like maybe I've mentioned this in one of my videos like a long time ago, but I like deep cleaning stuff like this. I like the process of the big nasty part, you know? So prior to me cleaning this hat, Drew had mentioned that the inside of the hat was starting to make him like kind of itchy while he was at work, so I really wanted to focus on scrubbing the crap out of that. Y'all, I really did just say this is like the third freaking soak, and it's still coming out like this when I dumped the water out. It was not good enough for me.
With a hat that dirty, you'd think that he's a mechanic, a farmer, maybe working with some sort of heavy machinery or in construction. But this is a man whose nickname is No W2 Drew. I forget exactly where I saw it, but someone said they were going to dress up as a job application and scare the shit out of him for Halloween. My point being in all this is that something else is happening to make that hat dirty, and it's the same thing that's happening to all the other fabrics in the house. I think a good deal of it could have to do with cooking in such an enclosed space, but there's also been ample evidence of the two of them smoking God knows what in that motel room. And these are the conditions that Stephanie and Drew are fighting to keep Deshawn in, leading us to our next major point of controversy in recent times, the GoFundMe scandal. I feel like I talk about one of these every other week. Steph and Drew would start a GoFundMe to raise money for the upcoming court case against one of Drew's baby mamas over the custody of Deshawn, and asking their audience to foot the bill is nothing new. The GoFundMe itself wasn't controversial, but how Stephanie handled it was. Around the beginning of November, Stephanie said that someone that wasn't her tried to access the GoFundMe, and because of that, she wants to shut it down, claiming all of the money that's already in there. And instead of saving it to use for the upcoming court case, she claimed she would use the money to take the kids to a trampoline park. And that's when the real criticism began.
I tried to log back into it a month or so ago, and it told me the account did not exist. And if you know us, you should know this was definitely some kind of phishing activity. Somebody knows what they did. But also, I want to point out that you can go in there and see where that GoFundMe is and see that none of the donations have been used. It's still sitting at the balance of what it would be for every donation. Y'all always can see, like, the children have needs. So we were going to put it out there as we weren't able to raise quite as much as we would need for legal assistance. How do you guys feel about us using it for things that the kids need, potentially even like an urban air trip or whatever? Drew mentioned it in his live, which kind of put me on a spotlight before I was able to figure it out. And it came off as like me trying to hide it, which was the opposite of what I was trying to do. I was really trying to just get it all figured out before I mentioned it to anybody, so...
But they're not quite done asking their audience for handouts yet, because Steph and Drew would cook up a scheme that they thought would secure them Deshawn in the court case to come. The couple claimed that they had finally found a place that might be acceptable for the family. Only problem was, due to their past bad credit, they needed a co-signer. So Drew would boot up Alive and beg a member of his audience to co-sign for their house.
My family be out of here. I do not care. I'll get another job. I do not care as long as they're out of here. Do I like throwing freight? I wouldn't say I like it. It's easy because I've done it for a while, and I get paid decently to do so. So it's whatever. How long do you have to find? We have 24 hours to find a cosigner, or we don't get the place. Oh, we can afford it. We're paying probably like $600 more here than we're paying there, at least. Seeing if anybody can help us, if that's a thing.
The way they made it seem at the time was that they needed this house because they'd no longer be allowed in the motels. But when no one stepped forward to co-sign, things went right back to normal. And Stephanie would reveal the reason they needed a co-signer during a TikTok of hers, where she washes her face with a wet t-shirt and talks about the numerous marks on her credit.
And in light of us being denied again for some stupid little pretty thing, like, honestly, y'all, this is the thing. The place that we were just about to get approved for, they didn't want more than 3 marks on our credit. I had 3. Drew has 2. So together we had 5, which is why we didn't qualify.
I'm sure all of this bodes well for the fate of the GoFundMe. Between that and the co-signing, the Jenkins were under quite a bit of criticism. But another big topic of discussion was the state of her motel room. Not only was there this layer of dirt on everything, but those with a keen eye began to notice maggots appearing in Stephanie's videos. Stephanie would claim that it was just a ramen noodle, but as you clearly saw, that was no ramen noodle. It was some kind of larvae. I really don't know if the conditions of this home could get any worse. Even the storage container they rented is infested with rats.
Finally made it to the storage unit. This was actually a few days ago, and I'm just getting around to putting the voiceover on it. And when I recorded this, I accidentally recorded it in slow-mo, so that's why I'm kind of speeding the video up to get to like semi-normal speed, also just like not boring speed. So I thought I was going to be like pretty over emotional going to the storage unit, kind of seeing everything that we haven't seen in almost a year now. At least for me. Drew's been here a couple times, but for me it's been a while, and I was just kind of not prepared to see everything, but actually it was kind of fine. There's definitely been some rats in here, and they've gotten to some stuff, but I'm not really surprised about that. But like I mentioned, the way that we packed stuff up so last minute and we just threw it all into like literally big plastic bags, there was really no finding anything that I was trying to get in here.
The only thing I haven't seen in one of the Jenkins videos is roaches, but given enough time, I have no doubt they'll make an appearance. Steph and Drew had so many irons on the fire. The GoFundMe, asking for a co-sign, the upcoming court date, as well as Christmas, which was rapidly approaching, and they have 5 children. So in my opinion, they cooked up another scheme for the holiday season. And in my opinion, this one's just plain hilarious. Stephanie would start claiming that Drew is a, quote, undiagnosed autistic person, also saying that she wants to talk more about it in her videos to spread awareness.
Drew, and how he's definitely like undiagnosed autistic. And I want to start talking about that too, in like just what it's like to be a partner with an undiagnosed autistic partner. He has a hard time opening up to people about his struggles, and he knows I see it firsthand and deal with it. I'm not saying deal with it, but like I'm with him, and a lot of the stuff that we go through, I feel like people would just have more of an understanding if I started speaking about it. So
I'm no doctor. I'm just a guy that really likes mug root beer. But I don't think you can just go around calling yourself an undiagnosed autistic person. It almost sounds like some kind of insult, but Drew didn't seem to mind, leading me to believe that this is a scheme they cooked up. And Stephanie would deliver on her promise of producing more of this kind of content, with part 1 of her series called What It's Like to Be with an Undiagnosed Autistic Person.
I wanted to come on here last night and kind of just do like the first part of what it's like being with an undiagnosed autistic partner, because I just had a lot of emotion last night that I felt like, I don't know, would have been like raw and in the moment. Drew is the type of person with his... Here's the thing. I don't give any passes for someone that's like an adult who has time to work on themselves, and like, you're an adult, you know, your shit-ass childhood, yeah, it has an effect on you, but like, you're supposed to be aware of like the fact that it did have that effect and be a better person despite, if that makes sense. But sometimes that's naive thinking, you know, especially when it comes to somebody who is autistic, because why are you gonna sit and make all these passes for an autistic child, but then be like, okay, well, they aged out of their autism. You're an adult now. You're supposed to not act autistic.
But this wasn't the only scheme that the Jenkins had cooking up, because around the beginning of December 2025, they would find themselves in yet another controversy. It all started when the Jenkins claimed that their youngest had had a seizure, that being the reason behind their most recent hospital visit. Well, as Drew was trying to explain his version of the story, one of Steph's kids piped in, telling us that the kid had actually fallen off of the bed, causing Drew to immediately end his live stream.
So anyway, she was just chilling on the couch, just standing up. I just got done cleaning, and I was what was I doing? I think I was just zoned out for a minute, because I just got done cleaning for the past couple hours, and I was just chilling, relaxing, and then Babe was like, "Oh, she's having another seizure." I'm like, "Okay," and yeah, she's just on the floor again. No, I was napping Tuesday. That was the first one. Oh. No, she's not falling off the couch. There's no thuds. There's none of that.
She fell off the bed yesterday.
Hey. What the heck, guys? Hey, hold on.
Plain as day, the kid says she fell off the bed yesterday. The Jenkins wanted to make this situation into profit, so instead of telling the truth, admitting they were terrible parents who let their baby fall off a bed, they just say that it was a seizure. The endless lies that these two come up with are hard to keep track of, but very easy to see through. And there is almost no better example of this than Christmas 2025. It might be shallow to say, but some of my most fond childhood memories have come on Christmas. As an adult, I have an even deeper appreciation, realizing all of the hard work that my parents put into making those special moments for me. My point being is that holiday celebrations are absolutely huge, especially for kids. But Stephanie says she doesn't know if she's gonna get the kids any gifts, claiming they're too young for them anyways.
I'm like, is your kid old enough to value the experience that you're spending thousands on? That's up to you to decide, but for me and Drew personally, we've decided we're not going to even beat ourselves up for the fact that we can't do an abundance of gifts this year, because it's not the year we want to do it. We want to wait till our kids are like preteen.
I'm not at all saying you're a bad parent if you're unable to get gifts for Christmas, but Stephanie and Drew can afford it. She still makes money from social media. They got plenty of money for whatever they're smoking or snorting, but not enough for their 5 kids to have a good holiday, even when their life is already hard enough. It is baffling to me that Stephanie's content is technically family vlogs, because she has displayed some of the most abysmal conditions for her children that I've ever seen on TikTok. But Drew just doesn't get why people don't like him.
Just seeing a lot of stuff online. Curious, what people actually think of us, because I think people think that we're pretty awful people. I don't know why. Everything that we do is pretty normal, cleaning and cooking. Also, I see a lot of different kind of hate and support online, and I'm curious when we're gonna be able to get some of that support before we can figure some stuff out for ourselves too.
The couple still do have some die-hard supporters. That number has slowly gotten smaller as time's gone on, and people have gotten wise to their tricks. But Stephanie still did have supporters that wanted to get her children some toys for Christmas. Publicly, Stephanie claimed that she wouldn't create a wish list for something like this, a move that almost no one believed because it's completely out of character for Steph. She will foot any bill possible to the audience, but this time she claimed she wouldn't. But that doesn't seem to be the case, because the children would receive gifts from generous watchers, and instead of just saying that she possibly had an Amazon wish list for a select few people to buy things, she claimed that her Amazon was hacked, and that's how people purchased as well as sent her the items.
And while I'm not going to lie and say that we didn't receive anything, because we did receive some stuff that was on a wish list that I didn't even share. Which means there's only one explanation of that. Somebody hacked into our Amazon and took it upon themselves to share a wish list. And they've gone even further because they've taken items that I've had in the cart and just sent them to us. And I'm tossing between, like, I'm grateful and I'm also creeped out, because why would you take it upon yourself to hack into somebody's Amazon and send them stuff that they didn't ask you for?
This situation goes so much deeper, and I highly recommend Cursed Eyes' video on it. It's a great watch and a great channel to keep up with the Jenkins activities. And 2026 seems to be shaping up to be pretty interesting. Drew may have halfway settled his child support payments, but there's still the looming court case against his other baby mama, and the possible loss of custody of Deshawn. Stephanie is also seeing a diminishing amount of views, due to the repetitive nature of her content and also finding herself constantly in scandal. The resilient Jenkins have been living up to the name. They have kept this up a lot longer than I thought they would, but something tells me that this year will bring big changes and big problems.